Hi, Richard. We're here at your gallery.
Hi, it's the Richard Demato Gallery in Sag Harbor, New York. And our guest today is Frank Oriti from Cleveland, Ohio, who we're very proud to say just won the Cleveland Art Prize.
Oh, fabulous. Could you tell me a little about that, Frank?
Yes, I won the 2013 Emerging Artist Award.
It's a distinguishing award.
Yes.
And you were chosen for what reasons? Do you know? Do they cite the reasons why you're chosen?
Just creative excellence.
Is that what it is? Okay, I'll go for that. Okay. Speaking of creative excellence, one of the reasons I was so enthused at the opening about your art, and I know that your wife Harriet, also Richard, is very enthused, is that your ability to render you have a masterly art style. Where did you learn this?
I studied at Bowling Green State University in Northwestern Ohio for my undergraduate degree, and then I moved down to Southern Ohio and went to Ohio University for my Master of Fine Arts degree.
Well, you have a terrific command, just an unusual command and painterly style, and your composition is excellent. But what I loved was the ability, you're stating a now statement. You have the middle class, you have the infusion of the tattoo art, the body piercing, and overall the identity that people are seeking individually through painting themselves almost. Mm-hmm. Would you say that's just about accurate?
Certainly.
And how did you...
That's an interesting point. I hadn't looked at it that way.
Yeah, tattoo art makes people stand out individually, but it's very, very important because you're pulling from gangster rap, reggae, graffiti, and you're morphing along, and here you make an amalgam of this fine art motif that you've mastered, and yet you've got everything embodied. That's why I was so very enthused.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the tattoo art finding its way into more of the fine arts realm is something that has become popularized through more of the West Coast culture, fine arts culture, and a lot of those more underground styles finding their way into more mainstream avenues.
Yes, yes.
And so that's something that is definitely inspiring to me, and I think finding a lot of the artists through social networking, MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, being able to find those artists who I now have followed for 5, 6, 7 years.
It inspires you?
Yes.
But I noticed, you really have a style of excellence, and it's real. It's hard to...
People are really amazed at how the eyes of all of your portraits will follow you around a room no matter where you're standing. And some people actually felt the images were photographs, especially because of the detail that Frank could achieve with the tattoos and facial expression. It really captures people.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, he gets the under emotion. He gets the emotion stated. I guess that's coming through the eyes. But there's detail here. There's detail everywhere. Like the detail in the rose of the girl's hair that's just directly behind you, Frank. Mm-hmm. That's almost that stretch between the realism that you're applying and the almost gothic or beyond gothic of the artists who transfer from tattoo or board surfing to canvas. You know, the detail, the way you're bringing the whole picture together, to me is just amazing. Did you focus on this? Did you arrive at this? How did you arrive at the style?
I think working in extreme painstaking details at times is something that I've always really been interested in, and trying to create an image that appears more real or is, confronting to the viewer. And I've always tried to set up challenges for myself in each.
How do you feel they confront the viewer?
I think getting back to that, the way that the eyes are so highly rendered that you kind of, as a viewer, lock on.
How did Frank confront you when you first saw the work? What did you think?
When we first saw the painting Jimmy, we realized that we've always said to people who ask us what to buy or why to buy it, that they should buy art that speaks to them. Frank's paintings really speak to you because the individual is part of your room.
And that spoke to you?
Absolutely.
And where did you first see the work?
In a book called New American Painters, where Frank was selected in a juried show.
Oh, okay.
And Jimmy was one of the paintings, and we asked him to send one painting to physically see the quality of his work, and when we opened the package, our breath was taken away.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's an unbelievable painting.
And were you seeking to have him at the gallery at that point?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you were testing it out.
And Harriet, being a painter, allows us the luxury of having a more aware and sophisticated way to evaluate the work that's before us, because she knows how difficult it is to achieve what Frank can do.
Well, she was speaking of this on Saturday. She was so enthused, and Harriet had said that she had not seen anything quite like it.
Well, and then when we saw Frank's self-portrait, because we didn't know the other characters or models, okay. So when we both saw Frank's self-portrait and another client that we have, we all decided to have our portraits done because we saw how he would capture us in a moment, but in a very contemporary way. It's not a traditional portrait. There's movement. He catches your attitude and your perspective while he paints you, which is really amazing.
Oh yeah, no, I see. I saw that when I walked in, and I saw your portrait when I walked in on Saturday. Frank, how do you enlist your cast of characters? Do you have a thematic in your mind of how you view your characters? Are they filling almost like a movie strip or a comic strip of some kind? Do they play a role in what you're trying to overall dialogue?
Yes, very much so. Most of the people that I paint have returned home to our same part of town in Cleveland that we're all from. Originally attempting to escape the suburban landscape that we all grew up in. We've all returned, and there is a great amount of acceptance of our situations and coming to realize what our future is looking like. Well,
are you stating that in Cleveland, as an inner city, in a city that relied on the industries that are no longer really super important in the America, that this is affecting your overall ability to have a future? Like your economic futures are stunted or stilted?
I think that's definitely one of the underlying things at play within the conversation of the work. I think I love Cleveland. I think Cleveland is a great city. I think it's a little different though in moving back to the actual city as opposed to moving back to the suburban parts of town, our actual hometown. And some of us even moving back in with our parents at 24, 25 years old.
Gotcha.
It's a little different. You have to actively seek culture and things happening in your city, whereas when you live closer to the city of Cleveland, a lot of those things happening, entertainment, culture, they're right there.
So you feel that the persona and the character spoken, much like the artists of the 30s who documented America during that last Great Depression, much of this is being stated in your art as the attitude of the mystique of what you're doing, the mystery of what you're saying, and there's almost a pathos to all of the pieces. There's a determined will that's apparent in the work, but it's not apathetic work, but it's work that understands, as you described, the spot everybody's in. So how do you picture this spot working out over the next 5 years? Do you think Cleveland will just stay there and you'll get to paint these people, or these people will evolve as a character study for you?
I think it would be exciting if there was, an evolution happening. I've painted the same people a couple times now, and it's interesting to see even over the matter of 2 or 3 years from when the first portrait was painted as to now. The portrait of Danny, I've painted him a few times now. The twins, this painting to my right, I've painted these gentlemen a couple times now. So it's interesting to see those physical changes as well as maybe even their emotional state changes.
That's interesting. So you document it.
Well, there's also the evolution of your own technique and ability to paint, and as you follow any creative path, you grow when you're as dedicated, consumed, and focused as you are. So as you grow in your work, you're also going to change how you paint them. But I think there's always an evolution of society and individuals, because things only stop when they no longer exist.
Oh yes, but this really reminds me of that thread during the 30s. You know, after
I love some of that work.
Oh, it's the best of America. It's absolutely the best. But also what came to mind through your description Frank and Richard, is that you bring a Renaissance style master technique to this work. This is not casual work.
No.
You know, it's very masterly.
Thank you.
Oh no, it's I see what it is what it is. You know, the finishes, the glazes,
Well, the way Thomas Hart Benton captured the movement of people and the color that was utilized at that time.
Yes.
You see that era.
Yes.
And today, the way Frank paints, he brings the tension and a little anger of some of these individuals.
Oh sure, and they should be angry.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's like a Steinbeck novel or a
It is like a
Soroyan.
Steinbeck novel, but they've been sold a bill of goods. I mean, a couple of these guys have had multiple tours in Iraq or Afghanistan, and they come back and they can't find jobs and they're losing their homes. It's a great story.
It is, and you're documenting it.
Yeah, I think with adding or responding to what you were saying before about the masterful way of handling the paint, I think attempting to or striving to be a part of that rich history of portrait painting throughout centuries of painting is something that's exciting for me as a painter, and it.
But you've also involved today's society, which is what Harriet was mentioning, is that you really, I mean, the gal behind you, she's great. She's got her nose ring in order, and the guy behind you has his ears pierced with those discs that enlarge the holes, and he's got his tattoo. And this is not something you would have seen in middle-class America 15 or 20 years ago.
True.
And this is, I guess, this pathos or this dissatisfaction with American life, the lack of the promise being fulfilled. So how long do you think this will, like, let's say when Los Angeles calls or New York calls, will you respond? How will you respond? Will you continue to go down your path, do you think? Or are you too young, you don't really know yet?
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, I know that I love painting portraits, and this body of work that I've been working on now for the last 2 or 3 years, this theme was what pulled me back to painting portraits, and so it's really hard to say what will happen in 5-10 years with the way I'll be painting and what I'll be painting.
Yeah, okay.
I know that I'll probably be painting portraits still.
That's, I guess, what I'm addressing is, will you have everybody changes a thematic and a dialogue in their painting. They have eras. Every painter does this. But this is really profound work. So how through the window of your soul when you paint, and I don't want to impose a belief set, okay, but your mind's eye or your soul, your inspiration, when you go to view your subjects, do they come alive for you? Do you feel you're channeling them? They're so accurate. It's hard to even believe you did this body of work within a 2.5 year period. I'm sure there's a ton of paintings behind it we don't see. That's an amazing phenomenon. So do they channel through you? What is it you're speaking to? What is it you're directing to? Getting these people accurately, getting their statement done the way you want to see it, or getting their statement done the way they want to see it?
I think it's the way that I see it, but because I know these people so well that I paint, it's always interesting painting someone that I don't know that well. It's a completely different experience, but because I've known a lot of these people for almost my whole life, it's
very intimate.
Yes.
So
exactly.
what's the big difference between people you don't know as opposed to the people you do know? Less intimacy? Do you feel that they're more difficult to channel? Is there anything different about the painting process for you?
It's probably more challenging. I'm always interested in, when painting a portrait, you get to that moment where it could just be the smallest detail in a painting, but when you hit it right on and it comes out just how you want it, it gets to that moment where you're like, it's them, it's that person.
So that satisfies your artistic statement, your artistic language. You'll come to a conclusion when you've got the moment right. It doesn't matter. Know people, don't know people. It's just about the composition and the art.
Well, Frank's very involved with the composition, and it's one of the reasons in the portrait he did of my wife and I that I'm holding my cell phone, because I'm never really without it. So small details like that
Gotcha.
help the character.
Brings it to life.
Yes.
So I want to thank you, Frank.
Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you for speaking with me. So if people want to reach you, they'll reach you through Richard at the gallery. What is the
Best way to get us would be to go to the website rjdgallery.com, or just email art@rjdgallery.com.